Hello and welcome to You Are Human, a podcast attempting to decode human potential and possibilities by bringing to you real stories, real heroes. We all know that food is a necessity, but to eat intelligently is an art. And in today's time, never has it been before, but today, where we all have so many different ways of eating our food, be it non vegetarian, vegetarian, raw eaters, juice drinkers, vegans, so many of them. And sometimes it does get confusing. You wonder, like, which is the right path? What do I choose? And the beauty is, we all have an option to go for. In my today's episode, I have somebody who has embraced veganism for the past over a year now, and her name is Farah al Zadjaly. Hello, Farah. How are you today?
Hello. I'm good. I'm good.
It's so good to have you on my show. I have been wanting to embrace veganism for a while now, and it is so amazing that maybe through this interview, I am definitely going to get a little more motivated and inspired to make that lifestyle choice. Hopefully.
Uh, Hopefully, yeah. I think people have this thing of like they have to do it full on or not. So
Mm.
it's like taken as steps go by.
Absolutely. So, as I said in my introduction, you have just embraced veganism like a year ago, and you come from the hardcore Arab land. You're an Omani, and you are. I'm not saying you did that before, but the Omanis that I see around, and correct me if I'm wrong, lamb, camel, come with me. Like it's tradition. So, coming from a hardcore Arab family, Omani family, why and how did you choose to make this massive shift and move to veganism?
So it started. I grew up in Dubai. So I'm Omani, but grew up in Dubai, and so I just come home from Dubai, and I needed a change in my life, and I was doing a lot of research into food. And I was
Hmm.
like, I need to find sources of food that will heal. And for me, the best way I know it's through plants of healing and herbs and all these kind of stuff. So when like I came back, I started researching more, watch documentaries, all these things, and I was like, you know what? Let me test it out because what I do in my job as a lifestyle blogger is to test out things before I can write about them.
Hmm.
So I was like, okay, let me test it out 21 days. And I suffered from a knee injury a long time ago and I refused to get an operation. So I thought, okay, this is perfect timing. I can heal my knee a bit. I can try out this diet and see if it works for me. And started into the diet and literally 14 days in, and I felt like a superhuman. Like I felt like I could fly if I could. Like that's how great I felt. And I was just like, oh my God, like this feels amazing. And I do all kinds of diets to test out, but I was like, this feels fantastic. And
Hmm.
it wasn't going raw, it wasn't going any of those things. It was just using what you already have in the house of vegetables and then mixing other things that, to be honest, I never thought I would mix together. Like I
Hmm.
was never a tofu fan. I was like, oh, tofu, are you crazy?
Hmm.
Um, but trying different things, and it was just like, okay, let me do this, let me try this. And then I like, even though I'm Omani, but my family are mixed, so we have like certain different foods in the house. So it's not just like, let's say, as Omani as you can be. I
Right.
have like Zanzibari, I have Irani, I have all these other backgrounds coming in as well. And then growing up in Emirat as well, I got the Emirati side. So it's
Yes.
like all kinds of food. So I was like, okay. And then my mom was teaching me, she's like, oh, this is already vegan and that's already vegan. And that's, I was like, oh
Hmm.
my God, I had no idea because
Right.
we've been set in this mind of this is the way our ancestors do it. So we're going to continue doing it,
Yeah.
not realizing, well, things can change. And so after that, I was just like researching further, reading a
Hmm.
lot. And then it was for my health when I became a vegan.
Hmm.
And then it became for the environment because we have such a big impact on the environment. And then it became for the animals after watching videos, which, to be honest, if anyone watched them, they will change their mind about eating any sort of animal. But that's how they are inside, the feeling. So from an Arab background, while like when my parents, I told them I became a vegan or whatever, they didn't mind it. They were like, okay, that's fine. It's okay because they're open-minded
Hmm.
to change and that kind of thing. So it wasn't a big like, oh my God, like our whole
Right.
life will change. It's like, oh, you know what? Since you're going vegan, we can start making other dishes then and other things. And so
Hmm.
it wasn't too bad, to be honest. And I already had a family member who turned vegan, so it was like, oh, this is just another person. Okay, let's make food for two as well. So instead of one, so
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
became simpler.
Do you think as human beings we tend to ignore the sufferings of others, of other human life? We tend to consider them a little lower and we think that, oh, but it tastes good and they're meant for
Yeah,
eating, because I get to hear this a lot. I'm a vegetarian, I'm not a vegan. So there is still a lot more for myself to progress and to, accept. But whenever I have this conversation and they were like, but then they're made to eat. This is the cycle, the ecosystem will run this way. But do you think as human beings, sometimes we get too selfish and we don't see beyond
yeah,
certain, yeah,
big time. Because I think we overconsume as humans. We overconsume everything and not thinking of the consequences of the things that come along. Like people are like, oh, but there's so many cows. I'm like, yeah, but if we stop eating them, there's less cows. Like,
because
do
they're
not,
producing more cows. They're
yeah,
actually they're being produced over and over again. Like
yeah,
they're asking, yeah,
because people forget the process. Like if they think of how cow's milk gets made, she gets like forcibly impregnated, and then she gives birth, and so that's another cow coming through or calf coming through. So it's like it's a circle that we have
right,
created. It's not the
mm,
circle of life.
yeah,
So I mean, I sit there and I'm like, people are like, oh, but it's delicious. I'm like, yeah, but I'm not thinking about the delicious part. I'm thinking about first health, because there are other factors of why you shouldn't eat it.
mm,
It's one of the main causes of heart diseases, and some cancers develop from it, and other diseases develop from it. So you sit there and you're like, oh wait, it's more than that. Okay, it's delicious, but it's the factors of your health, and then the factors of the environment, because we destroy the environment by cutting down more forests to build something for the cows to be on,
right, right,
and there's a process for them to, when it's naturally a cow just walks past the field, his hooves are important. So
mm,
they help in growing
yeah.
the
It's
grass and everything else. So
fertilizer.
it's like
It's natural fertilizer,
yeah,
if you see. Yeah.
it's natural fertilizer.
Mm,
There's no chemical process, there's nothing else.
yeah.
It's all natural. But we as humans, we're like, oh yeah, it's already there, so let's just have it. Let's just
Mm,
eat it, and more and more and more and more. And we become so selfish. We're like, oh, they don't feel anything, but they do.
yeah.
They
Yeah.
forget like a dog is the same thing as a cow and a pig and a chicken and all these other things. And you sit there and like, they also have feelings too. So we are just become so selfish as humans. And I had to sit back and say that to myself. I was like, wow, we are very
Mm,
selfish. And this is
mm.
me who used to eat meat all the time, and I was like, "Please," I was already dairy free when I 6 years ago, because I found out I had reactions to milk
Okay.
and it wasn't helping me.
Mm,
And I suffered from osteoporosis. So definitely milk is not a good thing for the body,
mm,
because it doesn't give you, oh, my camera is playing games now. Uh, it doesn't give you what your body actually needs. And
mm.
people may argue about it. But for someone that suffers from osteoporosis, I will tell you that cow's milk does not give you any calcium. It goes the opposite way round. It
Right.
takes the calcium from your bones. So me thinking, oh, I drink milk and I have, cheese and I don't know what, I'm like healthy. I have like so much calcium in my body. I'm great. And then I go to the doctors, they're like, you have osteoporosis. I'm like, what do I have? What is this? And they're like, oh, well, lack of calcium in your bones. And I'm like, okay, something's wrong here. So I need to fix it. So
Yeah.
you're going to learn. But yeah, we as humans are become very selfish to the environment, to the animals, as well as to ourselves and other people around us. So it's a hard lesson, to be honest.
What are the weird comments or questions that you get, from your friends? I mean, you said that your family has been really supportive because me being a vegetarian. So the other day I was speaking to one of my friend and I said, hey, you know what? I think I've put on weight. And she's like, but you're a vegetarian. How can you put on weight? That's one psychology and one thought process. And the other person, because I go for like training and I'm picking weights, this other guy who has a cafe which serves a lot of non-vegetarian food, kebabs and everything. And he's like, why don't you try my kebabs? And I was like, I'm sorry, I'm a vegetarian. And he's like, I've seen
Mm.
you, training at this particular studio. And how can you train then if you're a vegetarian? How can you be strong? How can you have muscles? Now, I fail to understand, like, are people living under a rock or something? Because if you see the most amazing sports personality who are, who are shining around the entire world are vegans. Forget even vegetarians. They're vegans, and they're so
Yeah.
strong. Like our Indian captain of cricket captain Virat Kohli, he is a vegan. And there are so many other examples. We watch all these documentaries and, all of them come out. So I don't understand these mindsets of people. They're like, oh, but you're a vegetarian. How do you get this? How do you get that? So I just want to know, being a vegan, what are the most weird kind of questions that you've come across from your friends or the people that you know?
Well, I'm sure people who are vegan will get the stereotypical one of where'd you get your protein from? And I'm like, go on Google and Google it yourself because I'm not here to educate every single, like I can give you, but then you're gonna be like, how? But where? But it's not enough. And it's like, I get these comments from people who sit on their desk and do nothing and then talk about getting more protein in their body. And it's like, if you're not an active person and
Mm,
you're saying I need protein, 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 that's
mm,
wrong because you don't need any protein if you're sitting on your desk
mm.
the entire day and then you go home.
Right.
You need a small amount of protein. To say that, oh, as you're vegan, you lack it, that's a
Mm,
lie because plants itself has enough in it of
mm,
fiber, protein, calcium, minerals, like all everything in just the plants itself. So I would get like, where'd you get your source of protein, Farah? Like you can't survive this way. It's not possible. And I'm like,
mm.
can you please turn around and walk away? Because I have no time to scream, or I'll get like, but you're an Arab. Like, it's not possible for Arabs to be vegans. And then they start bringing religion. And I'm like, oh, you want to bring religion to this? We're not going to start this game. Like, this is
Right.
not where I want to go. Or like, when was the other one? They're like, aren't like, you're going to be so skinny. And I'm like, excuse me? Like, do I look skinny to you? Like I eat plenty of sugar, okay? Like plenty of sugar. I can eat that. And it's like they forget that there are like over 50,000 plants in the world that you can eat from,
True. True.
and I'm like, you're talking about like three things you're eating, and I'm talking about 50,000 things I can eat. And it's like, I think it's the lack of wanting to know. It's more like, oh, because it's easier. It's
Yeah.
like, I don't, and I think we got this thing of being comfortable, like, oh, it's just easier. I'll do it this way because everyone does it. And it's like, I don't care what everyone does. I want to do what fits me, what makes me feel comfortable in my own skin.
Yeah, but I think more than easy, like even sometimes, when I wonder, okay, vegan, going vegan might be difficult, but I think that it's not worse than, having an animal suffer. So this is the least that I can do. So this is, and
Yeah.
thanks to you, because I know that I had to do this podcast with you. And with every guest, I tend to learn something. And believe me, in the last 1 week, I have been making conscious choices to make sure that, I'm on the path. I still have a long way to go, but I am wanting to tell you this, on
Yeah,
record that yes, I'm wanting to work on it.
it's it, it's a step by step process. I mean, I never thought in a like before becoming vegan. I was like, "Ugh, I would never become vegan, and the word never use it.
Yeah.
It's like I'll never become vegan. Like I love meat and I love this and I love that and I don't know what and blah blah blah. And then I'm like, oh my god, like look at me, like from saying that to becoming completely vegan. Some of my friends were shocked because they were like, Farah, you said you would never become vegan. Like, look at you now. Like, what the heck? And I'm like, and I don't go aggressively into it. If people ask questions, they ask questions and I teach them. And I've been teaching a lot of people on the foods you eat. So, like,
Right.
the basic thing us Arabs have in our food is chickpeas, It's like
Hmm.
chickpeas alone has enough
Hmm.
protein.
True.
So it's like, you can make it like now there's alternative ways of making chickpeas into like a tuna tuna sandwich way, and other things. And I didn't know that, but I was like, whoa, this is actually cool. Like I can learn more things and I swear to God, it's been an educational process for me. Like I didn't switch like 180 as in like
Overnight.
overnight.
Yes.
I took the time
Mm.
to adjust my body, and to the point I don't miss meat, I don't miss chicken, I don't miss fish, I don't miss any of those things. I don't like the smell of it as well,
Mm.
and I don't like enjoy being around it. I mean, I have family members that eat it, and I'm like, okay, I'll open the windows, or put some air freshener or something because I can't handle the smell. And they're okay with that. They're respectful to the fact that I've changed and that kind of thing. So they themselves are slowly doing a slow process, not to becoming vegans, but to like you making conscious choices
Right.
about what you put in your body. And it's all about like people forget like what you put in your body is also called self-love. So
Yes.
like
Yes.
you're just nurturing it. Like how are you nurturing it? If you're putting like junk food in it all the time, you're not nurturing it. And then you're wondering why there's like a bad after effect. I mean, I eat once in a while junk food. It's not a big deal, but I don't make it a routine. I'll
Mm.
go to my kitchen and I'm like, I have this and I have this and I have this. Okay, let me think. I can make something out of it. I have no idea what we're gonna call it, but we're
Yeah.
gonna make something out of it. And it's like it's a fun way of cooking now. Like before I used to just think of like 5 things to cook with. Now I'm
Right.
thinking of like, I can make this now and I can make that now. And I'm like, ooh, this is fun.
That's amazing. And, I really like what you said that what we put in our mouth and our stomach is also self love, so our food habits. So that's incredible. And because I'm a super junk eater, I love my crisps, I love my chip packets and chocolates. So, yeah, that's another reminder for me. Farah, you're also a minimalist person, right? You're also practicing minimalism. So, how did that
Mm.
happen? Because I don't want to put it just on the Arab world, but we love shopping as women. We love to like wear different things. So how's that coming along?
So I never thought I would also go down that path, but I think during this entire pandemic and lockdown thing that's happened, I started realizing what's more important to me. Like
Hmm,
I look through my cupboard and I probably wear 5 things in the entire cupboard. Like I think I'm wearing all the clothing, but I'm not really, to be
true,
honest, because I'm
true.
looking towards like, okay, I have these pair of leggings, I have these pair of trackies, and I have a pair of jeans, and that's it. And then I'll like switch the t-shirts or the shirts or whatever. And it's like, why am I over buying things? Why do I need them? So even when I go to the shop and I look at something, I'm like, will I use it? Where will I
Hmm.
use it? How will I use it? Will it sit in my cupboard for the next 8 months, even though I bought it now? And I ask myself these questions, and I'm like, okay, no, I don't need to buy it. So like I have gone like nearly, I think it's like 6 months not going shopping. Well, first of all, shops here are not open. So, but you have online shopping and I don't even do that as well. I'm like, nah, don't need it. Where will I go with this? Like, even
Yeah.
if we went back to our normal lifestyle, I specifically live in leggings. I literally like love my leggings. So I just live in leggings until there's a point of a hole in it. Then I'm like, okay, now I need to change them. Now I can buy something new, or in the UK, you can buy something secondhand. So
Yes, yes.
you
Mm,
try it that way. And let's say I don't want a specific thing, or like I buy this and I'm like, oh, you know what? It's still in good shape, but I don't need it anymore. So I'll send it to the charity store, or I'll contact my friends and be like, listen, do you want some clothing? And they're like, yeah, sure. Instead of throwing it out, they'll
mm,
take it and I don't
mm,
need to have it
mm.
in my area.
True, true.
But it, it's taken like a process as well going through it. So even like anything in our house, I'm like, oh, we don't need this. So let's just send it to the charity store. We don't need to buy it. It occupies space that could be free, and that it's it's like your surroundings matter to you. So if you're over
Yeah,
cluttered, your mind is cluttered.
exactly,
So
exactly.
the the only clutter in my house is my kitchen because I like food way too much and I cook way too much. But other than that, around the house is like, we don't need this, we don't need this, we don't need this. And so we stop buying certain things. We do stuff to store so
Mm,
that it's
mm.
out of space, but it's taken a process and I'm slowly going through it, but I
Yeah,
think it's been the best thing to uncloud that mind of mine where it's
yeah.
like 9 million things around me.
Yeah, and when we declutter our surroundings, even we declutter our mental space. Because imagine the amount of things that we own, they take a space in our mental capacity as well, isn't it? You're like, okay, what
Yeah.
do I do with this? What do I do with that? And in 2021, this was my thing, that I will only shop through thrift stores. I will do secondhand shopping. I'm not going to do first-hand shopping. So I have been practicing minimalism now. Like, I don't buy things until I really need it. Like you, I'll also ask, do I really need it? No, I don't need it. I
Yeah,
have
you're like,
enough clothes. So I will just let it be, and just, so and as a matter of fact, in Oman, in Muscat, we do lack thrift stores. There aren't any thrift stores. So anybody who's watching has an idea, please start a thrift store. We need thrift stores over here. We need secondhand stores, secondhand markets.
yeah. It not just helps the people that have gotten rid of stuff, but I think for me, like thrift storing, like we have charity shops here, we have a lot of vintage places where it's like secondhand stuff, and I think we need to stop over consuming and just go secondhand. But I
Yeah.
think because of the mentality of us Arabs, we're like, no, we want something new,
New.
we
Yeah.
want something
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
unused,
Yeah.
we want something, and I think that mentality has gone on for generation to generation. But once we move out of that mentality, and let's say move to Europe or US or Europe, like UK, that kind of thing, so it changes because you're
Yeah.
surrounded by that kind of thing. I worked at a charity store in the UK as an internship thing, and I was learning like what comes in, and there's been like designer things that come in, and you're like, this actually, the
Exactly.
price of this is this much, but you're selling it for £10. Yeah, I'll take it, thank you very
Yes.
much. And you can shocked by what comes in at the charity store, and then you're giving back as well on that way. So it's like you're buying something, but you're also giving back. And sometimes like
Correct.
I'll come back with the same clothing and I'll give it back to them, and they're like, I was like, yeah, I've used it several times, I don't use it anymore, so here, maybe someone else can like use it again, and it's been washed, and I'm not going to give something dirty. I mean, I've had times where I'm like, oh my god, like, why is there stains on this clothing? Like, why would anyone sell this thing? Like,
Yeah.
so it's something that we need to implement in the Middle East. It helps a lot. It helps the environment as well.
Absolutely.
Recycling clothing instead of throwing it in the landfills
Yeah.
and
Yeah. Yeah.
destroying it.
And when the resources are
So
already there, rather than using new resources, we might as well use what is
yeah.
existing. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people will benefit from it as well. Those who don't have a high income as well, they will
True.
benefit from thrift storing
Absolutely. Yes.
because it's like, oh, I can afford to buy this, even though I couldn't afford to buy it like first hand. I can buy it second hand. It's great. It's
Yes.
still functional. It's still, we do that for electronics and other devices. Why can't we do it for
Exactly.
clothing?
Even for cars, yeah, we do. We use secondhand cars, and absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. I think that is the way forward. Minimalism is the way forward if you want to protect and preserve the environment. Farah, you come across such a confident and outspoken, and I'm going to rule the world kind of an energy you have. And mashallah, you speak so well. You have no filters, and you speak your mind. But you confronted to me saying that you lived in self doubt for the longest of your, in your life. The longest period of your life was living in self doubt. Then in 2016, you did something really crazy. You shaved off your hair completely. And since then, you have started accepting yourself. I think as human beings, the biggest issue that all of us go through is self image. We don't like ourselves. Imagine we're born with this body and our personality. We can definitely work on our skills. We can definitely hone our personality. But forever, at every stage, I even know women who are models or who are fitness trainers, they still suffer from body image. And I was like, where do you have excess body fat to be, worried about? But they still have that. And it's very, very difficult to process and comprehend. And it becomes such an obstacle in our own, life's journey, in our growth. So how did that happen to you in 2016? What made you shave off your hair, and how did your psychology and mental space change?
Well, in 2016, I had a green hair because of using hair dye so much. It started like it went from like a purple color, and then it transitioned, like all the blues possible, and then it went green. And then when I went to the salon, they're like, "We need to bleach it." I was like, "You're gonna bleach something that's already been bleached? Like I
Hmm.
can't handle any more damage of my hair. And then I also wanted to do something about giving back. You know,
Hmm.
if I couldn't give my hair, I need to do some other thing to give back. So there's a thing here in the UK called Brave the Shave. So I decided I told my mom, I was like, Mom, she's like, what now? Because she knows I'm always up to something. I'm like, Mom, I'm gonna shave my head. She thought I was joking at first. And I was like, no, I want to shave my head for this specific charity. And it's mainly to do with cancer because I've lost a lot of family to cancer. So I wanted to do something on giving back as well and helping a charity. So I shaved it all off. And everyone was like, aren't you scared? Like your hair is who you are. And I'm like, what do you mean my hair is who I am? I am who I am without hair, without anything else. And I shaved it off and I was crying my eyes out. Like I was just crying. And I'd gone to the salon that I've always gone to, and there were lots of women there. And they literally started clapping and they were like, they started donating the money as well on that day. And they're like, are you crying because you lost your hair? I was like, no, I'm crying because I finally feel beautiful. Because for so long, I compared myself to other women, even within my own family, who I find gorgeous, beautiful in every way. I compared myself to them because people used to come out and be like, oh, like you're not pretty like her and you're not pretty like her. And you get people making these like snide comments. It's like I always say, if you have nothing nice to say, keep it to yourself because I don't want to hear it.
Hmm.
And I did that, and I got people looking at me strangely, and I got people from back home like, "Are you crazy? You're an Arab woman. Like, hair is your everything." And I wanted to show that my hair does not determine who I am as a person. My
Yeah.
hair is just an added thing onto my body that God gave me. It is not something that's gonna be like this is what makes a woman.
Hmm.
And I hated being identified as that as well. It was like, this is what makes you a woman. And I was like, there's other parts of the body that makes me a woman, but okay, we're not going to go down that road. But it was like, it reached a point where I was like, you know what? I no longer can compare myself to another woman because who I see in the mirror is beautiful, is gorgeous, mentally and physically. It took me nearly 26 years to reach that stage because
Wow.
as a teenager, we always compare ourselves to other
True.
girls. We always want to be like a celebrity or something like that. I want this, I want that. And we had all those trends of being skinny, then being this, then being that. And I don't know what. And I think all of us girls have gone through those phases in our lives where we're like, oh, I want to be here on it. And then when you finally come to that realization where, you know what, I am just beautiful the way I am, and no comment can change that.
Yeah.
And I get people all the time on my Instagram going like, because my Instagram changed a bit, and going like, oh my God, like you're this and you're that and blah, blah, blah. And they'll make comments like you're sexy, you're this. I'm like, I don't need you to compliment me
Validation.
anymore.
Yeah.
I don't need that validation that I am this and this and this to you. All that matters is me. Who am I to myself? Who am I and how I feel? So when I look in the mirror, even though I exercise, I'll look in the mirror and I'm like, I like who I see. Like, it's
Hmm.
not about the transition of, oh, I'm losing weight. It's like, I like myself.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't need to be a size 8 girl. I don't need to be like big booty girl or big booby girl or big this or that kind of thing because that's the trend. I don't need to do any of that. And it feels like liberating your freedom.
True.
Like
True.
I can wave a flag of for all women and let's do this. So it's like that's the greatest feeling. And I have such good support around me, especially my mother and my sisters and like my close friends. Creating that good vibe amongst women as well it helps as well. So once you
True.
feel this good about yourself and you spread it, like I would go down the street and I see a woman and I'm like, you look stunning today. And she smiles the whole day. And I'm like so happy because I feel like she looks beautiful.
Yeah.
Like she'd be wearing this flowy dress and like all of that. And I think it's good when we women can compliment each other.
Each other. Yes.
Like,
Yes. Yeah.
yeah, it's like you don't need to look like her, 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 her. You just need to like you
Yeah.
and you're perfect the way you are. And so it changes you as a human. Like I just feel like I could do anything and I don't
Yeah.
have to care what people say. And
Yeah.
it took me a long time to get there, but it was worth the journey because now I help other girls and other women realize their potential and realize to accept themselves, and it doesn't matter what culture. Me coming from an Arab culture, a mixed Arab culture, and growing up in different places, it also helps me let
Mm.
people know Arab, English, European, Latin American. Like I talk to lots of women and I try to encourage them, like, love who you are. Like, just, you don't need to change. You don't
Yeah.
need 5 million hair extensions or like makeup, like 5 layers of makeup to look beautiful.
Those
You're
who
just
do it, there is
beautiful.
no disregard to them. I mean, it's their
Yeah,
choice,
no,
but yeah, it's not a necessity. You don't have to do
yeah.
it
I
in order
mean,
to. Mm.
yeah, I come across girls who are like, oh, I need to buy all this makeup because that will make me pretty. And I'm like, you're just beautiful the way you are. You don't need like multi-layers of makeup, girl. I mean,
Yeah.
sometimes I'll put makeup on because I have to go to a meeting and I need to hide those eye bags or something. I'll put some makeup on just so I look a bit human because I look half alive. But on a normal day, I don't wear any makeup.
Mm.
I'll put maybe a bit of lip gloss or something just so that my lips don't end up dry. A bit of mascara because I'm like, oh, let's sparkle those eyelashes, But but it's not something a woman should have to worry about.
Hmm.
It's not. She shouldn't have to look across like, oh, he thinks I'm this. Like, you don't need his validation. You don't need his
Yeah.
validation
Yeah.
or her validation, and that kind of thing. So yeah, it's a liberating feeling. It's
There's so
like the
much
best.
power in it, no? There's so much power to be feeling that way and to
Yeah,
be owning your personality, your existence, and our own uniqueness. As you said, that we're all unique in our own ways. We're also
yeah. It's
unique.
even as a woman or even as a man, like men also do it. People forget men is the same time as well. Like
True.
they think, oh, men don't. They don't bet, but guys do talk about it, and
Yes.
guys do feel it, and
Yes.
they as well. They're perfectly great the way they are, and they should always feel that way. And I know like the trend on social media and all those things are like the six packs and muscles and I don't know what. But if you're not that kind of person, it's
It's
okay.
okay.
It's
Yeah.
fine.
And the other
You
day, I was having a conversation with somebody, and I was like, we as women, we are being talked about body shaming. Even men go through body shaming, right? Like, there's so
Yeah.
much that they go through. Now, that's a different topic altogether. We can
Yeah,
have another podcast on it. Honestly, to be talking about the issues that even men go through. So it's we human
yeah,
beings as a whole, and I think accepting the way we are as human beings, not defining them, boxing them in a gender, it's extremely
yeah,
powerful to be owning our own lives, our own personality, and the way we are. Of course, we have to keep growing and getting better, at each
yeah,
day. But we have to be comfortable and accepting of ourselves. We have to embrace it and celebrate, our own existence. So, yeah, that's indeed there. Farah, is there any book? Because I know you're an avid reader as well. So, at present, is there a quote or a book that you would recommend? Or is there something that you read and you're like, wow, that's amazing, that you'd like to share?
my favorite book of all time is You're a Badass, by Jean Scenario. I think so. I don't know if I'm pronouncing her last name right, but it's a yellow book. And I picked up that book one day and I was just like, okay, I need to read this. Like, it's like title already. It was yellow, so it's already picked me.
Yeah.
And then I was just like, okay, I need to read this book. And literally it changed my attitude towards myself, towards my
Mm,
work, towards my family, towards everything else. And it was just like you feel like it's another liberating feeling.
yeah.
Um, and it removes that negative thought that we constantly put at the back of our mind of doubt
Mm,
and switched it. Like it in a way, I feel like in a situation where it's like, oh, I could have, I should have, I would have. And you're like, you don't need to think of that. You need to think of you're present. Okay. You're here. What's happened? Okay. Let's find the solution. Boom. Then move on. Don't, don't like dwell on those things. Do not like make it a priority. And it changed me a lot. And then another book that changed me, especially towards women, was Girl Code, and it's by Cara Lilali. She's probably saying her name wrong as well, me and my names. But that book, if you're a woman and you want to change the way you see other women, that is definitely a book to read, because you learn to not judge your girlfriends or other women, You learn to support each other, which is a very big thing that we need to do as women, is support each other. Not when a crisis happens, but in general.
Yeah.
Like I went from having all guy friends growing up, all guy friends. I barely had a girlfriend, like one or two here and there, to having a group of women who are absolutely amazing from all parts of the world. They just constantly support each other. And I think that is something I like embrace with full arms open when it comes to that, is like us women looking at each other like, you know what, she's powerful. I'm going to be powerful with her,
Yes.
not against her, not like fighting with her, nothing. No, with her. I'm going to stand by her and go with that. And I think that is just another book to look into as well. I love reading, and I think self-help books are the best way forward. As well as novels, but I think self-help, just to change your mindset, because we've been programmed to be this like, what's negative first, and then we can think of the positive, when we should switch that and think of positive straight away.
Right.
And
Yeah.
it changes your mood. I mean, I feel 10 years younger, to be honest. Like I get ideas till this day. Like, I give you an idea, I'm like, how do you think I am? Well, this thing, and I'm like, I like you. And I'm like, if I told you my actual age, you won't like me. And they're like, it's like, it's that when you feel positive, you feel confident, and you change your even your face changes.
Yes.
Your mood changes. Because I mean, I think I smile 10 times more than I did before, and I think it exercises. Alhamdulillah, I really feel happy about that. And I think it exercises your face as well. So it keeps off all those, things we try to hide and put all these blemishes and wrinkles. It's
absolutely. Yeah.
I 100% all people should feel that way. And inshallah, they all will.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so much that you have shared today, Farah. Thank you so much. And the books that you have mentioned, I'm definitely going to, because even the other day when we spoke, you did mention about Girl Code. And I have been trying to look it up, trying to get an audiobook. So I have to start it really soon. So thank you so much for sharing what you're reading, how your life has transitioned and changed, about your choices. It has been an incredible conversation, and I've absolutely loved every bit of it. Thank you so much for being at You Are Human.
Oh, no, thank you for inviting me on here. I love your energy. So it's perfect match.
Thank you. And I'm so grateful for all the wonderful guests that, are so sporty, and they, give me the opportunity to be having a conversation with them. So thank you so much. And I hope to be following your journey throughout, and hope to connect with you again. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode. If it has inspired you, even slightly, then please like, share, and comment. See you on the next one. Until then, remember, our time is limited. Let's make the most of it.